Welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to discuss about multi-dimensional array implementation. So previously we talked about one-dimensional array, and then we looked at how you can be able to declare the array, how you can be able to access the array element, how you can be able to apply array objects on it. And if you missed that video, kindly go to my YouTube channel and you can be able to follow me through in that particular one. So it is not possible for you to advance to multi-dimensional array if you don't know what one-dimensional array is all about. So it is always good that you build your strength, or you can build your knowledge starting from the one-dimensional array as you go up. But if you are advanced, or maybe you are running this for the sake of refreshment, to refresh your knowledge on this particular case, so you can just dive in and you can watch this particular video. Now when you talk about a multi-dimensional array, basically you mean that two or more values are stored within each array element. Now we have been talking about one value being stored in an array element, but in this particular case you are going to see that two or more values are going to be stored within the array element. Now we are going to look at how you can be able to declare an array, a multi-dimensional array in this particular case, and how can you be able to access elements in that particular array. And also we'll be able to look at different ways you are going to apply. Maybe you can be able to use the for loop to be able to access the array elements, or you can be able to apply the for each so that you can be able to access the array elements. And also we'll be able to look at how you can be able to apply the array objects to be able to access or be able to manipulate the data that has been stored in this particular array. Without wasting time, I just want us to run a very simple program, or we are going to create a simple program. As we go further, we'll be explaining what exactly is happening in this particular case. So we want to create a very simple array, an array of we are going to create an array of so var, we are going to say cars. We are going to create a very simple array of cars. Now we are going to start with the square bracket, and then you press enter. You have the square bracket and then you press enter. Now inside this we are going to create arrays. We are going to create the array elements. So the first one, we are going to have Toyota. So that is my first array element. Then we have the second one, comma, then you have those single quotation, BMW, yeah, BMW, then single quotation, a comma, and then we have got Mazda as another type of a car. Then you place the mouse at the end here, then you put a comma, and then you press enter. You move to the next array element, a range of array elements. So you're going to say Nissan, yeah, Nissan, and then we have got a comma, then you have got single quotations, then we say Prado. So these are type of cars, so I'm just using this as an example, yeah. Then we have got kangaroo, for example. You can just say kangaroo, okay, as another type of an array, another type of a car, yeah. Then you go to the last one, that is the last row of arrays. We can just have Peugeot, maybe you can just say Peugeot like that. I don't know if that is the right spellings, but I can just use it that as the name of the car. Then you can say Audi. Audi is a type of the car, okay. Then we can just put a comma there, and then we can open the single quotation and then say Corolla, yeah, like that, and then you put the semicolon at the end here, yeah. So what you have done in this case, we have been able to capture all the array. So you can see there is something like a destructive. So let me see what might be the error here. Okay, so they are saying that we have got a declaration here. So they are saying that expected a semicolon, not a comma. Expected a semicolon, not a comma. What is the error here? They are saying that destructuring pattern expected. Okay, Yeah, so I think there is an error here, but let me just try to check if this particular array is going to be displayed. So we're just going to say console.log. so this is just a way you can go to debug your program. So you see errors and then you try to run it and then check if it's going to give us the output or the input, the output that we require. So let me run this and let me say okay. So they say that we have got an error here. So they are saying that var cars, so they are saying uncaught unexpected token. So we have got an expected token here before after cars, the name cars. Yeah, so I think we can have that. Let me try to solve that problem here. Okay, so I can check in my code and then I realize there is something that I've missed in this case. I've missed an equal sign. There. Yeah, so that equal sign, there was having a syntax error, but now I've corrected it, and I think when I do this, I save this and then I go to my program, I should be able to see it running correctly. So you can see it has got all the elements well arranged in this particular multi-dimensional array. So let's go forward. So this is basically how you can be able to declare a multi-dimensional array. Basically you start with the keyword var. Var is meaning variable, and then you need to give it a name. For example, we are giving it a name of cars, then followed by those type of cars or whatever array elements that you want to use, and then finally you can just try to check if that particular array is correct by trying to write console.log and then cars. Now going further, we want to look at how to access the elements. So you can access a single element. So I can just get rid of this up to this particular point. I want to access one element at a time. So for example, I can say cars, and then I say 0 and then 1. Yeah, so remember, this is a multi-dimensional array. So this, what am I saying in this case? I'm saying that this is the first row, second column. Yeah, first row, second column. So if I'm supposed to have 0 0, it will be first row, first column, but this one is first row, second column. So in this case, if I'm supposed to do the right thing, it is supposed to give me BMW. Yeah, so let me try to run this and then you can see if it is going to give me a BMW. Boom, there we have it. So it has given me correct figure, that is BMW. So that is how you can be able to access a single element, or how you can be able to access a single element. Remember, we have been saying console.log then cars, it is going to give you all the elements, but if you're interested with a single element at a time, then that is how you can be able to go about it. Now you can as well be able, you can also want to know maybe the position of a certain element. So in this case, I just want to show you how to access the position of a certain element. For example, you can just say var position, and then you can just say cars. Okay, cars, and then you can just say that. So what am I doing in this case? I'm going to access all the array elements in the first row. Then you can go, you are going to use index of. Index of is a method. So this method is going to give us the position of this car. It's going to give us the position of Mazda. Example, Mazda. I want to know the position of Mazda in this particular case. So when I do that, and then I just write there console.log, and then console.log, and then I just say position, console.log, and then you just say position. I save this and then I just refresh my page. I should be able to get the position of Mazda. The position of Mazda is 2. and that is very true. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So Mazda is 2 in this particular case. So that's how you can be able to get the key for a certain value in this particular array, or in this particular multi-dimensional array. The next thing that I also want to show you, in this case, is that how to get the size of the array. So the size of the array is very simple. Just say console.log, and then you just say cars.length. Cars.length is an object that enable you to access or enable you to get the length of your array. Now in this case, when I save this and then I refresh my page, I should be able to get how many array elements I have, and in this case is displaying 3 array elements. So how is 3? This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. These are the 3 array elements I'm talking about. Now going further, we can be able to also we can as well be able to change particular values. We can be able to change particular values. For example, I want to change the value of Mazda to Pajero. Yeah, so I just say that cars, and then I specify the indexes. So I want to change this index, okay, and then I just say I'm going to put there Pajero. Remember, it's a string, and therefore I need to start with a single quotation like that. So the moment I do that, and then I just say console.log, and then I just say cars, then 0 in there. Why 0? Is because I want to access only the elements within the first row. I just want to access the elements within the first row, and I've already changed the last element, that is Mazda. I've changed it to Pajero. That is to tell you that if I run this, I should be able to see those changes affected in that particular case. Boom, there we have it. So you can see Mazda has disappeared and Pajero is taking that particular position perfectly in that particular case. Now going further, we can be able to access multiple array element by use of the for each, or also we can be able to use the for loop. So I'm going to start with the for loop. So I can just put that comment icon, and then you just say using for each. Just say using for each loop, and then I can just start by saying cars dot for each. Yeah, so for each basically is the one that enable you to access every element every time a function is executed. It enable you to access every element after a function has been executed, and that function we call it a callback function. Yeah, so in this case we are just saying that for each, and then we say function, and then we say function into bracket, we just say item, comma, index. So these are the parameters that are being passed in this case, and then we have the array at the last. Okay, so this is the elements that are being passed there, or parameters that are being passed there, and then we need to put the curly bracket in between here, the opening curly bracket, and then you press enter. Then you have the second one is item dot for each, and then we can have function again, and then we can have those parameters, item, index, okay, and then we can also have array. Okay, now this particular one is supposed to also have the curly bracket in between the bracket, so we are going to put those curly bracket in between the bracket and then press enter. Then after doing that, we are going to have console.log, and then we want just to display index, comma, index, and then item like that. Now we just close here with a semicolon, and also we need to close here with a semicolon, and also we need to close here with a semicolon. Okay, So there is an error here. Let me check. Is declared but its value is never read. Okay, I think there is an error here. Yeah, so but basically what is happening in this case is that we have got this for each. This is the row. Okay, this is the row for each, and this is the column for each. So we have got two. We have what we call for each nesting. We have done what we call for each nesting. So the external one is the column, and the internal one is the external one is the row, and the internal one is the column. Yeah. So in this particular case, let me try to run this and then check if I'm going to get some feedback. Bravo, that is it. So you can be able to see that all those elements have been arranged very well. So we have Toyota in the first index. We have 00 Toyota. We have the second one is BMW, like that up to 2 and 2. That is the second row and the second column. So you can see it has been well arranged with their indexes. Each one of them has been given their indexes. So it means that there was no error in that particular case. So we can also be able to apply this. We can be able to access all these array elements by using the for loop. We can also be able to access this by using the for loop. So in this case, we can just say car 4 into I is equal to 0. Then we can say I is less than or less than cars dot length. Yeah, so remember I talked about this dot length, just the length of all the array elements. Okay, and then the semicolon, and then you can just say I plus plus, and then you have the opening curly bracket. Inside the first for loop, we are going to create another for loop, what we call for loop nesting. So we are going to nest another for loop inside for the sake of the columns. So this external for loop is meant for the row, and the internal for loop is meant for the column. So we are saying j is equal to 0. Then you can say j is less than. You can just say j is less than cars dot cars I dot length. Remember, it's a column, so it is going to traverse through the based on the rows that you have been given. So it's going to say that cars into bracket I. Remember, I is the counter for the column or for the rows, the counter for the rows dot length. So that depends with how many items have been stored in that particular row. Yeah, it also depends with how many items have been stored in that particular row. That's why we are using cars into bracket into curly bracket I dot length. Yeah, then after doing that, we also need to have the increment. So we can be able to increment this by saying j plus plus. Then you can just put the curly bracket, and then we can say console.log. Then you can just say I, comma j. Then you can just say comma array, cars. Then you can just say I and j, I and then j. Yeah. So what we have happened in this particular case, we have done what we call for loop nesting. Now in the for loop nesting, what we have done is that we are saying that our rows, we are going to use I as our counter, and then we are starting from 0 going up. So depending with how many elements are there in that row, that's why we are using the array length. That's why we are saying the cars dot length. So it is going to get the number of items in that particular row, and then it is going to ensure that that particular condition is met. Then I plus plus is supposed to increment. Then inside here we are having the column for loop, and inside here we are using the counter j. And then here we are saying that cars I, so depending with how many elements we have in that row, give us the length of elements in that row, okay, and ensure that j does not go beyond those elements in that row. That is exactly what is happening in this line here. Yeah, ensure that j does not go beyond the elements in that particular row. Then you increment j plus plus, then console.log, then give us the index, give us the column, give us the row, give us the column, and then give us the car. Yeah, so in this particular case we are just saying give us the row, give us the column, and give us the name of the car, and then you can be able to display it to us. So when I save this and then I just refresh my page, by default you can see whatever has happened at the top here is similar to what is happening at the bottom here. So you can be able to apply the for each to access the array element, or you can be able to access the, you can be able to do that using the for loop as indicated in this particular case. Yeah, so those are the two ways you can be able to use in order for you to access the array elements. Now the last thing that I want to show you is how to apply array objects. How to apply array objects. Yeah, how to apply array objects. Array objects. Now in the array objects, whatever we did initially in the one-dimensional array is not different with what you're going to do in this case. Those array objects that we looked in one-dimensional array is similar to what is going to happen in this case. But the only thing that is going to happen in this case is that somehow there are some few things that can change in that particular process. Yeah. Now in this case we are going to say that I want to change for example, I can say cars into 2. Okay, so what is happening in this case is that we want to add an item at the end of the array. Okay, so by doing that, basically I'm supposed to call the push. Yeah, so the push method will enable me to add the car at the end of the array. So if I say cars and into bracket 2 in the second column, in the second row, in the third row, yeah, in the third row, that is the third row, 2 implies the third row. In the third row I want to add a car, so I'm going to say push Sienda. Okay, Sienda is a type of car, so we are going to push in Sienda in the third row of this particular array called cars. So if I save this and then I just refresh my page here, there should be an additional value added there. So if I just say console.log, okay, and then I just say cars, there should be a difference. There should be an added item there. So if I refresh this, it should be able to give me the output that I need. So you can see here when I expand this a little bit, you can see in the third row we have been able to add an item called Sienda. Yeah, so that is how you can go to add an item by using the push, and you can see the push will add an item at the end of that particular array. Yeah, now going further, when you go to the next another object that you want to look at is unshift. For example, I can say cars. Okay, I can say cars 2 in the third row. Okay, add an item at the beginning of the array. So you can just use the word unshift. Unshift is the one that enables you to add an item at the beginning of an array, and the item that I want to add at the beginning of an array is I can use a car, like for example Harrier. Yeah, so Harrier is a type of a car, so I'm going to add at the beginning of the array. Yeah, so if I do that, what is happening in this case, that in the third row of cars, can you be able to add this particular type of the car at the beginning of that particular row? That's exactly what is happening in this case. Yeah, maybe now I can be able to add the last one, and before we can be able to look at the response, how do you how do you push, how do you pop, or how do you remove an item from the end of the array. Okay, so we want to remove one item, but before I remove an item, let me just see the response of how this particular array will look like when I add that particular item at the beginning of the array. So if I do that and then just save, and then I come here, so it should be able to give me, yes, you can see now Harrier, okay, you can see Harrier has been added at the beginning of the third row because of unshift method. Unshift method has enabled me to add this Harrier at the beginning of the third row. Yeah, so going further, what I want to do is I want to delete or I want to get rid of Sienda. So what am I going to do in this case? I'm going to use the word pop. So I'm going to say cars into -2, and then I'm going to say pop. Yeah, pop, and then I can be able to, the moment I write pop, it is just going to remove that particular last element in the array. It's going to remove the last element in the array. So let me just check if that has been implemented using that console.log, and then I can be able to see that if it has worked for me. Okay, so when I refresh this, I should be able to see Sienda disappear. I should be able to see Sienda has disappeared. So perfect, Sienda has disappeared. So meaning that pop is the one that enables you to remove an item at the end of an array. Now, the last thing that I want to show you is how to apply splice, in this particular array. So splice, we say that a splice is a method that enables you to do the following. One, it allows you to remove an element. It also allows you to insert an element, and also it allows you to add an element. Okay, so it has got three capabilities, splice. Yeah, now splice has got three parameters. We have got the start parameter, we have got the element delete parameter, and then the last one is value that you want to add or you want to insert. Yeah, so those parameters are the ones that we are going to use in this particular case. So in this particular case, I'm going to say cars, and then I can say 2. In the third row, I want to apply the method of splice, and in this method I'm saying that I want to start from the second item. I don't want to delete any item, but I want to add as an item called Suzuki. Yeah, this is what is happening in this case. Yeah, so what I'm saying in this case, that in this particular row, okay, in this particular row 2, in the third row of the cars array, I want to apply the method called splice. In this method, I want to start from the second item. I don't want to delete any item, but I want to add an item called Suzuki. Yeah, I think that is well understood in this particular case. So these are the arguments I've been saying that I'm going to pass. I'm passing 3 arguments. That is the start, the element delete, and then the value. Yeah. Now if I run this console.log, I'm supposed to see cars added. I'm going to see Suzuki added in the third row. Okay, so by doing that, you can see Suzuki has been added in the third row. Yeah. Now one thing about splice is that the element is not necessarily going to be added at the end of the array. It can be added anywhere. Now for example, in this particular case, you can see we are going to start from the second item. Now the second item there was Peugeot. Yeah, so in the second item, that is the second item, we have been able to add the item. So when you add an item, you can see it is coming before even that particular item. Yeah, so that's something that you need to understand, the difference between pop and splice when you are deleting an item, or when you are you are adding an item in this particular case. So those are some of the popular array objects that you need to know. So we have been able to talk about how to create a multidimensional array, how to add elements in the multidimensional array, how to access the elements in the multidimensional array using the for loop and using the for each loop. And then we have also been able to see of how you can go to apply different array objects in your multidimensional array. So having gone through all this, I'm very sure that you can be able to create a multidimensional array of your choice using the knowledge that you have just been able to get in this case. Thank you so much for watching. I kindly click on the subscribe button, and also you can turn the notification button on so that next time when I go live or when I create another video, you'll be notified. Thank you so much, and bye bye for now.